is called Truth or Consequences. Well, most of us have wondered sometimes in our lives if there really is a God. I know I have. There's been a time in my life where I've wondered that. After all, look at what we see. We see evil, sickness, war, death. All you have to do is turn on the television and you think God did this. But how could a good and perfect God who loves us allow any of the things that happen in this world? It doesn't make sense. And you're right, it doesn't make sense. It takes a long time for most people to discover the answer to this question. The truth is, God is not responsible for any of the things you see in this world, good or bad. We are. To understand how humanity did it to themselves, we have to understand the role of the human mind. And I make a strong distinction here between the human mind and the real, true mind of God. So this is describing the human mind. The conscious mind decides what is true. And he does this by using only the 5 physical senses, which are extremely limited. If you've ever seen the spectrum of light, we see about a fingerful at most. But we think that's what is, and that's all that is. But they're actually illusions that are projected by the human mind. They show us what the mentality of humanity has produced in the last 20 centuries. The 5 senses are like TV news reporters. They just repeat whatever they read on the script, whatever they see. That's why Jesus said, "Judge not by appearances." He knew the physical senses were totally limited to the 3rd dimension, and they cannot penetrate the interior 4th dimension. He called it the heaven within. The conscious mind sends its report to the subconscious mind. This is what I would call a magician, a magical mind. What it does is it projects pictures that seem to appear out in the world that we look at. But the subconscious is basically a factory or a copy machine. It reproduces a virtual reality, a 3rd dimensional picture of whatever the conscious mind orders. And this is why the world is like it is. The subconscious mind has faithfully produced whatever we believed, even though what we believed wasn't true or wasn't real. And whether it was good or bad, it didn't matter. Whatever we believed, the subconscious mind produces. This is why Jesus said, "Be it done unto you according to your faith." Old-fashioned words, because after all, it was 2,000 years ago. Be it done according to your beliefs, your knowledge. And then he said, don't judge by appearances. He knew the truth. He knew that the subconscious mind projected pictures and that humanity believed they were all real, and that's all that there was. Truth or consequences. Now here's a simple example. You say, I'm sick. Your subconscious factory will deliver sickness. And it has no sense of humor. It takes every single word you say seriously. If you say, I'm dying for a cigarette, it will fill that order for you. Jesus and all the other great masters were trying to teach us a mental law when they all said, be it done unto you according to your faith. Because it really is. Whatever you believe, the magician mind projects on the screen of your personal world. It works like a movie projector. We forget this. What we see looks so real. I mean, we can touch things, feel them, hear They seem so real, and they look like they're out there. And they look like they're moving. But that's why they called originally movies. You know, because they looked like they were moving too. But it's just light projecting images on a screen. Now we all know movies aren't real, even though we jump occasionally if the hero gets murdered. You know, that's a terrible thing. Everybody jumps like it's real. We react. But we know they're not real. But we don't realize that our thoughts project a virtual reality world in our own mind. And it's just as unreal as a movie is. Every wrong idea the whole human race has ever believed for 20 centuries. Think about that. All the wrong ideas anybody in the human race has ever thought was true has appeared on the screen of this world. And we have been programmed to believe that this movie we live in is the real thing. Think of all the ignorant thoughts of primitive people throughout the centuries, of ignorant people, of just people who were not right, people who were ignorant. Is it any wonder that today you see a strange world seemingly out there? Humanity has done this, projected this world, all by itself, without any help whatsoever from God. Truth or consequences. These are what I call foundation errors. There are 3 wrong beliefs or faiths that are the foundation of all the negative things that appear in our world. And the first is the belief in 2 powers, good and evil. In Genesis 1, it reads, God created everything, and it was good. 6 times, in case you didn't notice it, it says in Genesis, and it was good. God created good, only good, a perfect paradise, a real eternal world, and us in his image. Genesis 2. That warned us what happens when man ingested the original false belief, the fruit of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. This allegorical tree produced 2 opposite results, or fruits. It split the world into opposites, good and evil. The famous tree wasn't an apple tree, remember. It wasn't even a tree. It was the human mind eating wrong beliefs that then affected the body. The original sin was humanity swallowing the idea that there could be 2 powers, one good and one bad. It showed what happened when we rejected the truth, that there is only one presence and one power, God, the good omnipotent. And this was humanity's fatal mistake, and it was fatal. It produced not only life, but it added death. Truth or consequences. What's the second belief that created the world we blame God for? Well, what do the majority of people still believe? Even possibly one of us might believe this. Just think about it. For over 20 centuries, man has believed that we are only human. Man no longer believes the truth. He doesn't know he's really a spiritual being. He thinks he's a physical human being. Yet logically, how could we be human when we know that the Father God is spirit and we're made in his image and likeness? How could there be 2 separate natures, God and human? We've forgotten that we are spirits, divine Son, spiritual beings, invisible. This false belief separated us from our divine power. Humanity no longer realized it had dominion over the earth. So it projected a world of limitation, where we did become subject to matter and not its master. And because we believed we were only human, we became human. We superimposed prison over paradise. The prisoner human race believes it has limited life, limited health, limited love, limited wealth, limited time, limited space, limited everything. And what is the consequence of this disastrous belief? The subconscious factory obediently has created departments to handle the billions of conflicting orders it receives daily. Mr. Hate runs the Department of Emotions. His team produces huge amounts of fear, distrust, anger, jealousy, and greed. One of his smaller teams produces limited doses of love, trust, acceptance, and peace for the ones who order those. Mr. Never Enough runs the Department of Economics. He makes sure there's never enough of anything to go around. He makes sure there's only a limited amount of money, food, jobs, love, and knowledge. He could easily make all these things in unlimited qualities and quantities, but he can't. He has to fill the order of the human conscious mind, who is so ignorant. Mr. Body runs the Department of Health. His customers all have different fears and beliefs. He has a terrible time supplying all the diseases that his customers order. But the worst mistake that mankind has made was forcing the subconscious manufacturing plant to create the Department of Death. Appropriately, Mr. Age is in charge of that department, because almost all men, and especially women, believe that life has time unlimited. They constantly look at the calendar to find out how bad they look in the mirror. They look for the wrinkles, they look for the gray hairs. Of course, I wouldn't know about that myself. But Mr. A materializes a form that we call old. But his premium product is death itself. Mr. Age produces epidemics and wars when he's overstocked with life. We are the customers. You and I and all our ancestors are the customers who've ordered our subconscious factory to produce the good and evil, the world of duality that we see around us today. We haven't done this on purpose, obviously. But as Jesus said, Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do. And we still don't. We've created a world that reflects our ignorance of the truth or consequences. We have believed all the facts that we have inherited from centuries of ignorant humanity's belief in two-ness, good and evil, life and death, up and down, young and old, white and black, true and false, good and bad. Truth or consequences, always in the world of duality, opposites. Each one of us lives in an individual world populated first by mass beliefs. They differ from country to country, maybe, and they're modified by different religions, genders, colors, but they're basic core beliefs. Almost everyone does believe we're only human. And this means accepting the belief that we're powerless, limited people, doomed to death. And almost everybody thinks everything is limited. So that means they have to take it from somebody else, earn it, steal it, bribe for it, or produce it in some way. All these core beliefs then are modified by 7 billion individuals now. And their beliefs. If you don't think that there are different beliefs in this world, look at all the different faces. And there are 7 billion different faces, except for the twins, excuse me. Some people believe it's possible to be wealthy, so they are. Some people believe they're bad, and the jails are full of those people. Some people believe they never get headaches, so they don't. Some people believe illness is hereditary, so it is. All these beliefs, some true, some false, some good, some evil, produce effects of the nature of the belief. Truth or consequences? Which are you choosing? You do have a choice. Now, in a world of duality, there's always good and bad news. First, the bad news. We have become subject to the laws governing matter, laws governing time, space, death, not recognizing the truth of the spiritual fourth dimension of divinity, heaven. We have unknowingly manufactured the flawed race we call humanity, and we seem to be it. Instead of reaching for the tree of life, the truth in the center of the garden of our being, the invisible, we have eaten the results of the knowledge of the tree of twos, good and evil, truth or consequences. When Pilate asked Jesus why he was born, Jesus said, "To this end was I born, and for this cause I came into the world, that I should bear witness to the truth." Jesus knew we had to learn the truth, or the world would continue to suffer the consequences of our ignorance. And now the good news. Since we did it to ourselves, we can undo it. How? The same way we did it. By recognizing and deleting the belief in opposites, good and evil. We must know the truth that there really is only one power, God the good. Ye shall know the truth, and the truth shall set ye free. But the truth only frees us when we know it. As individual by individual, we begin to reject the belief that we're only human, and we each begin to know the truth, that we really are divine, powerful spirit. This shadow world will dissolve and reveal the truth, heaven. Remember, Jesus didn't say you have to do anything to be free. And he didn't say anybody else had to do anything for you. All he said was you have to know the truth. And the truth will automatically set you free. We must then realize the truth that our nature is the same as our Father's. The Our Father states this in the simplest way, probably the greatest truth. Our Father means each one of us has a divine Father, one Father, Spirit. What a revelation. And then we begin to realize there really is only one divine presence, one power. When we each begin to conceive this truth, this conception is not sired by man. It is inspired from above. It is an infant belief held in a pure soul that grows until it births our divinity. The birth from above. Above what? Above matter. Is the birth of Spirit's individual immortal expression, Christ, our real divinity. It takes time to stop believing the lies, but when we know the truth, we will be free. How simple the solution has always been. Simply know the truth, and death is swallowed up in victory. Remember this. This is a condensation of the talk, almost. There's not a spot where God is not. There is no space for a human race.